Okay, you guys, here in Chapter 6, we're dealing with time value of money. And we're first going to look at some future values. Now, what we mean here, on exercise 6.1, they ask us to determine future values of single amounts invested today. Really what they're asking is if you invest an amount today at a given interest rate for a certain period of time, what will it be worth in the future? So we're going to go to some tables in Appendix P, as in Picayune, first thing that popped in my mind. Picayune, Mississippi, that is. So let's go through them. We're going to look at quite a few of these time value of money calculations. Future value is really used quite a bit in helping people prepare for retirement. What is this money invested today going to be worth in the future? So let's look at exercise 6.1 on page 349. Okay, on number 1, the amount invested is $15,000. They want us to assume an interest rate of 6%, and the number of interest payment periods is 12. Okay, so to calculate the future value, we'll go to the table on page P-2 in the back. P is in Peter, P-2 in the back of your book. Come across the top until you see 6%, and then come down the column until you see 12 periods. All right, you get a factor 2.01220. So what we're going to do is say equals 2.01220, or 22, we don't have to add the 0, times our amount invested today. And we end up with $30,183. So what we're really saying here, if you invest $15,000 today at an interest rate of 6%, in 12 years, you would have $30,183. So as you'll see here, it's much easier to make money if you have money. You've probably always heard that. Here's an example of how. Okay, let's continue on. Our next amount to be invested is $20,000 at a rate of 8% for only 10 periods this time. They say number of periods rather than number of years. It's how often is the interest compounded or calculated and added to the balance. 12 times here, 10 times here. We're going to assume that's once a year in these calculations. Okay, so we'll go again to the same table on page P-1 in the back of your book in the P index. Okay, and we'll come across to 8%. Come down to 10 periods. We get 2.15892. And then we're going to multiply by our amount invested. And we get 43,178. Again, what that tells us, if we invest $20,000 today at 8% for 10 years, at the end of 10 years we'll have $43,178. Okay, next we'll go to number 3. Amount invested is $30,000. The interest rate is 12% for 20 periods. Okay, Go back to our table on page P-1. We'll find the 12% interest rate. We'll come down to 20 periods. We get 9.64629. And we're going to multiply that by our amount invested, 30,000. Now we'll see how much that grew. If you can invest 30,000 today at 12%, not touch it for 20 years, at the end of 20 years you would have $289,389. Again, it's so much easier to earn money if you have some money to invest. Now, it's tough to find a 12% investment. You can't find that guaranteed, probably, or FDIC insured. You probably couldn't find but maybe 1 or 2% at this point. But the more you have to invest, probably the higher rate you could get. You could get some of these type rates on corporate bonds, on a riskier company. All right, so number 4, the amount to be invested is $50,000 at a rate of only 4% for 12 years. So we go again to our table, come across to 4%, down to 12 years, we get 1.60103. We're going to multiply by the amount invested. So 50,000 invested today at a rate of only 4% for 12 years. At the end of 12 years, you'd have $80,052. Okay, you guys, those were fairly simple. I think if you work this one out with me, you shouldn't have any problem with the exercise 6-1 on Connect Plus. If you have any questions, please be in touch with me. Thank you.